Let's whine about it! Hi guys, it's Papa Hagrid here for Wine About It, and today we are drinking Yellowtail Sweet Red Rue. It is a wonderful wine, it's really great, it's got alcohol in it, which means absolutely everything's in it. So today what I want to talk about is the presidential race. So what the hell is going on? Let's see. Ted Cruz and John Kasich both left the presidential primaries in horrible shape. So all we have left is a orange-looking orangutan named Donald J. Trump. Cruz, I want to address you. What the hell were you thinking? You had a chance to become the next president of the United States. You weren't that far behind, yet you let this idiot, whatever you want to call him, with that god-awful hair wanted to let him become the next Republican presidential candidate. This means horrible things could happen to our great nation, and I'm not saying Ted Cruz is good either, because honestly, fuck him. But still, Going on to further news, I love Bernie Sanders. He's a great person, and I hope he gets the presidency. Even though he represents the socialist side of politics, I think that's what America needs. A little bit of fresh air, the same as Europe. Now on to story time. So basically, what I want to tell you about today is some of the little bits of fucked up parts of my life. Fuck, what am I trying to say? Shit. I want to tell you just a little smidgen of the vast amounts of really weird things that go on in my life. One second. Alcohol. So, today I want to tell you about the time that I went to one of my friend's house. And this friend, who I will not say their name, because we are no longer friends. So I was over at their house one day, right after school, rode home with them on the bus. It was a perfect day in autumn. We were going to go and just walk around the little town that they had there in North Carolina. And so I get there, and we walk in the door, and he's like, "I forgot to tell you, but my house is haunted." I was like, "What? Hold on a damn second. Why the hell didn't you mention this before?" Okay, if there's three things that I am terrified of in my life, it's crabs, not the STD, not the STI, whatever you want to call it, just crabs because they look really weird and they remind me of spiders. Number two, the wine being gone. Thank God there's still some in here. And number three, fucking ghosts. So, I'm like, what's been happening in your house? And he's like, well, ever since I was young, I've been experiencing weird things, like things will fly off the shelves, shit like that. Things will be stacked up, and I'm sitting there just listening intently because honestly, I am enthralled with this story. Because even though I'm scared of them, scared of ghosts, I am completely just enthralled with the idea that some paranormal force could do things like that. He goes on to say, like, if he goes and leaves the house, he comes back and chairs will be stacked up on the table and shit like that. And I'm like, I would have moved out of that house by then. Like, what in the hell? So, my first idea of ghosts and everything, I thought maybe it was going to be just a little haunting, things like that. Maybe, like, the TV turns on and off, things like that. But no, so all this shit started happening to him and everything, but I didn't really let anything sink into my mind because honestly I wasn't planning on staying there anyway, and we were about to leave the house. I made one large mistake before we left the house. I left my bag in there, which held my laptop, my school books, things like that. I honestly didn't think about it before we left, but while we were gone, I was like, oh God, I hope nothing happens. Well, long story short, something did happen. We had a wonderful time out on the town, and we went to shops, everything. It was incredible. But when we got back, I could not find my backpack anywhere in the house. We looked up and down and things like that, and honestly, the first thing that came to my mind, I thought somebody had like broken in and it was just gone. Everything was gone. I was really distraught, and I just didn't know what to do. But he's like, hold on a second, I have one more idea. I think I probably know where it is, but I really don't like to go up there. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So he proceeds to tell me the story of how a lot of his things go missing as well in the house. And where they end up is this shed that's like 100 yards away from the house. I'm like, what? So we go outside of his house because this thing is like really far back in his back field. And we walk down to this shed, and there was my bag sitting there on one of the stumps that was in there, because it was like a wood chopping shed or whatever you want to call it. And I couldn't believe it. I looked through it, everything was there. I honestly had no idea, or have no idea still to this day, how my bag, which weighs about 10 pounds or more, could have went 100 yards away from that house. Number one, without anybody seeing it, because it was a neighborhood area. Number two, what the hell could have carried it? And I just don't, it makes no sense. So I was asking him, I was like, why do you suppose that these things, like, just end up here? And he was like, well, probably because the ghost in my house, like, this is where the guy died, and this is where a guy died, and we think it's his ghost that really haunts our house. And I'm like, oh God, why are we still here? Can we please leave? We walk away from there and everything, and I'm like, bye ghost, because I was just being a jackass, as I usually was in high school. And this big log just fell down in front of me. Needless to say, I was scared out of my mind, and I ran all the way back to his house. Messenger bag and tote, which I hope didn't have any kind of ectoplasm shit on it. But still, it was just one of the weirdest experiences I've ever had. He wanted me to stay the night that night because we were gonna like have some friends over and stuff like that, and I reluctantly agreed for some reason. So we stayed. I got up, I got all my stuff, and I just stayed the night. My dad brought me some of my stuff, and we were having fun, we were having a party, everything was really cool. And then one of my friends, also that came to the party, will not say her name either, she had the bright idea to bring a Ouija board, because apparently he had been telling everybody that his house was haunted, except for me. So as soon as I saw her pull that out of her bag, you can kind of imagine what my thoughts on the Ouija board are. I was completely terrified. I didn't want to do it. But peer pressure is a bitch. So I ended up sitting there and doing everything with them. So, like, halfway into the session, which was like 30 minutes long, so about 15 minutes in, we were asking all these kind of questions and stuff. And not a thing. Everybody else was asking questions. I hadn't done anything yet because I honestly didn't want to, like, even attempt to talk to this thing, if it even worked. So I was just sitting there all politely and everything, and then my friend, whose house that I was at, said, why don't you give it a try? And reluctantly, I did. I asked it all sorts of questions. I was like, hey, what's your name? everything. And I asked him like 5 or 6 questions and everything, and I still didn't get anything. And I was like, well, maybe if I ask him about my bag. And I asked, I was like, why did you take my bag? Or did you take my bag to that shed out back, like 100 yards away? And all it spelled out was my name. Like, I was scared out of my mind. The little triangle thing went across the board and just spelled Jordan right after that, and I'm like, no, we can't do this anymore. And so I like flipped over the board, and I was really scared, so I kind of went and stayed outside for a little while. And I was sitting on the porch, and I was like, I can't do this. I really can't stay here because of this shit. But my friends came out, and they were like, hey, we'll be here. Everything's great. And I was like, okay. So I went back inside, and we went upstairs, and we were about to go to sleep. So we were talking and everything, and all of a sudden, I noticed that the room got really, really quiet. And it's not like just your like normal quiet, like there's a fan going so you can kind of stare. I mean, like, there was nothing. Like, this is the most quiet I have ever heard anything ever. So now I'm sitting there and I'm like, there's something that's about to happen. There's something that's going on. And all of a sudden, my friend had this bookshelf over the fireplace in his room because, like, a long time ago, 1800 stuff like that, they had fireplaces in their room to keep them warm. Like, the big mantelpiece over the fireplace, there was like a shitload of his books, and they all just went crashing to the ground, like, completely crashing. Nobody was anywhere near it. I, like, jumped and fell off the bed, and it was just so weird. So, I was like, what the hell is happening? And my friend's like, I don't know. And apparently I had made a big faux pas, because when you're using the Ouija board, you're supposed to say goodbye, and the spirit's supposed to say goodbye as well, and that's how you know the session's over. But I just knocked over the board, and I didn't say goodbye, I didn't say anything. So I was kind of like shit out of luck on that front. But anywho, like, I kind of got settled back down because that was the only thing that really happened, and I went to sleep. But I had some of the weirdest dreams that night. Like, that shed was in my dreams constantly, and it scared the crap out of me. So to this day, I will never, ever go back to that guy's house, or basically even the town that he lived in. So yeah, it's a wonderful thing. If you liked it, please leave a big thumbs up down below. It would be greatly appreciated. If you were to subscribe, that would be great as well, because you'll be hearing a ton more of this really weird going on in my life. Oh, the really weird goings on in my life, excuse me. And if you leave a comment, I will try to get back to you and answer any unanswered questions that I didn't hit in this video. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!